to be powerful as a community, all of you together have to be one group and have to be a civilized community. That's why Ibn al-Qayyim says, in one of his sayings, Ibn al-Qayyim was a scholar after the Prophet ﷺ, and he was saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives power to the non-believers stay even if it was non-believing, because it's a just community. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take power from a Muslim state because it's an unjust community, or because it's a civilized community and this is an uncivilized community. It is about the teachings that the Prophet ﷺ came with in the 13 years that he was teaching to the people of his faith. And after the 10 years when they moved to Medina, how to deal with one another. How to deal when you have a poor neighbor, how to give him money. When you have a person who is in need, how to give him money. Muslim akhul Muslim, la yadhlimu wa la yuslimu. That your brother is, the Muslim is your brother. Never commit injustice to him. That if your brother is, or if your Muslim fellow is committing injustice to someone else, you have to stop him. All of these teachings, what were these teachings? They were the teachings of how to become a civilized community. One of the scholars, his name was Imam Hamd Abdu, a couple of decades back, when he visited the West. So when he went back to the East, he said his famous statement that in the West, I found Islam without Muslims. But when I came to the East, I found Muslims without Islam. Well, what is the point here? That when he came to the West, he found a civilized community. It was a civilization. And why is that? The West was not Muslim at that point, and it's not Muslim. You cannot consider that the West is Muslim. But the point is that Islam is the religion of the instinct. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought you with, whatever your instincts is, if you go back to these instincts, then you came back to Islam. So that's the point here, that the teachings of how to become a community, it's what is important to become, to reap the fruits of Islam. You can reap the fruits of Islam as an individual in one moment, but to reap it as a community, you have to stay years and become one community and one civilized community. I attended a lecture a couple of years back, and the person who was giving a lecture, he was giving an example of the Muslims to the example of rain, of how rain falls from the sky. So he says that rain to fall from the sky, it's water vapor in the sea, and dots begin to vaporize till each dot goes up, and then they combine a group of water vapor, dots of water vapor combine together, and they form a cloud. And only when they form a cloud, they become rain, and they help the people on the earth. So the example here is that each person has to raise with himself as an individual till they become till they meet up there and they become a one community. But when they become one community, that's when they help the people on the earth, or they reap the fruits of Islam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. In a famous, one of the hadith, the Qudsiyya, that there was a city, and there was in the city that people used to commit sins. And there was one of them who used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a confined home. In his home, he doesn't go out, he doesn't meet with people. He just worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that home and leaves the people outside to commit sin as they want. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told his angels, destroy the city. So the angels went and they saw the city, and then they came back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is one guy in that city who worships you day and night. He doesn't commit any sins. Do you still want us to destroy the city? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, bihi fabda. Start with that guy. Why is it? It goes back to what we were talking about. It is the responsibility to reap the fruits of Islam. You have to be a strong community. It is the sense of what it is your responsibility towards the community, that you have to give back to this community. You have to be with your brothers and with your Muslim fellows, and even with the non-Muslims. In the Islam, there is many teachings about how to deal with non-Muslims, that you have to be good to them. And the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, that a non-believer used to hurt the Prophet ﷺ with putting garbage in front of his door. But when that person is sick, the Prophet ﷺ went and visited him. All these teachings about it falls back to what? It is a community. So the points that I'm trying to make here, or what are the things that we can take from here? So you have to be active in your community. So the word of the day is community. You have to be active in your community. You have to give back to your community. You have to form with your friends, with your Muslim fellows, a community. With your non-Muslim fellows, you have to form a civilized community. But again, going back to the story of Ammar ibn Yasir, that it is not your responsibility how is this going to result. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. That you do not guide whoever you love, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whomever He wants. So your responsibility is to try. Your responsibility is not how it happens, how it ends, if it becomes a civilized community. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to try and to take action towards making this community a better community. So that's the message of today. That becoming as an individual, becoming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that's not enough. In Islam, that's not enough. You have to give back to your community. You have to form a group, being among a community to give back to your people. La ilaha illallah.